Preparing to stream.
Let me see if I can do it.
Here we go. It says streaming. We just gotta wait for this side to get all noisy. There I see it. Now I just gotta go back in so I can see the comments. We are live. We've got the smiling face of Anya Day there on the right and the shell-shocked me on the left. Okay, it looks like we're live from here. I can see our faces moving. Okay. We labeled this episode the Avomitable Snowman because we don't have a flying fuck about what's going on, I don't think. And we're kind of just rolling with the punches as they slap us around. So, how's Anya's day today?
Great. Today was a lot better than, I guess, over the weekend. Like the weekend was just trash. But today I ran into the wizard, so order was restored in my universe, and I feel a lot better.
Granted you the sage knowledge that you needed to move on.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. But I mean, I guess we could just. I just want to talk about the fucking darkness.
Please.
And you saw the video I made about how I had this friend. She's like 65, Black woman, pursuing her thing in music. And I've been friends with her since like the end of 2018, sometime around, or beginning of 2019, sometime frame around then. She would talk like us, and like I extrapolated information, and it was an exchange of ideas and learning. And I got close with her. She knew a lot about me, and I probably knew about her stuff too. And just during this gestation period of whatever this Avomitable Snowman thing is, just the last meeting I had with her, my intuition told me I shouldn't have even gone. My intuition's actually been telling me that it's time to cut this cord. And I was actually supposed to go to another meeting that day, but because I had given my word, I committed to this meeting. And it was just like an awful time. I just wish I didn't go. Like she was 50 minutes late.
Yikes.
I don't even know why I sat there, but I did. And it's not the first time this kind of happened, but I spoke up.
Do you wish you walked away much earlier? Because it would probably have been easier.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But I was like, I already canceled the other meeting, so whatever. Or postponed it, I guess. And I said I was annoyed and all of that, but just her energy was so terrible. And I'm like, how have I been blinded to it? And I just saw it in a different way. And it's not to judge her, but it just wasn't as aligned as it used to be. And I just felt bad vibes. And I was like,
is it possible her energy was similar before, but you were different?
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
So what changed about Anya?
Oh my God, the Avomitable Snowman. this ethereal, mysterious
Describe
creature.
Her. Yeah.
Who?
The new you?
Oh my gosh. The new me is like just more present and a listener or learning and just observant, tuned in more to the higher self rather than the ego self. I guess. Cool. But with all of that said, I was just not into it. And I just felt bad the whole time. I was like, just my energy, felt like it was just being sucked on by the darkness. And you mentioned that in the video. So I thank you for that because it was very helpful.
Cool.
And I felt so misled, bamboozled. And after our talk on Friday, like I felt like something in my chest just shattered and I had the worst abdominal pain ever for the entire night. But like, I just like, oh my God, I trusted this woman. I told her everything. And it just, yeah.
So what drew her to you the first time?
We were on a similar journey, like twin flames and both trying to do creative things, and I had helped her a lot with the creative side of her stuff, like the graphics. Someone I could talk to about whatever this weirdness is.
And we tend to draw in people of like vibration at that time.
Yeah.
And can you see from it that your vibration has changed a lot?
Mm-hmm.
No more codependency. Was there some integrity stuff in there that was really important to you that wasn't to her?
Perhaps.
So
yeah.
That's the new higher vibration energies.
Yeah.
So see it as growth. I think a lot of people see it as like, okay, these people were feeding off of me, how awful that was or whatever. But at that time, maybe that's exactly what you needed to slow you down enough to see some things, right?
I think, yeah, like, there was still an exchange, because even though it was like darkness from this perspective now, like there was information that I extrapolated that I needed. Vice versa.
And you got to see her now. And you got to see it front-handed center. If you probably wouldn't have went, like your intuition was telling you, there always would have been that question mark, probably.
There would have been that question mark, and I said to myself, you know what? Like, things happened how they needed to, and it's better to see it now than later. Because what if there was like some sort of, I don't know, higher staked situation? Rather do it now than later.
Have you seen it in other people that you used to interact with as well?
Probably.
Cool.
Who knows? I forgot about them.
Well, in reference to my world, it's almost everybody that's dropped away in some way, shape, or form like that. So it's normal. Now, the next side of the question is, at one point, at least in my world, I used to collect a whole bunch of people just to show that I was status or was nice or whatever, but that doesn't really matter anymore unless they're really in alignment with me. I just don't want to be around them. It's not they're bad people or anything of the sort. It's just if they're using my vibration or they're catapulting themselves somehow by being or spending time with me, it's kind of a lie that's going on and it propagates as a codependency, right?
Yes.
And then now I can see through it. And it's like, okay, they're not bad people, but they've been just taught by their parents and their whole family that this is the way that's normal.
Yeah, it's like, this is how I manipulate to get my needs met.
Absolutely. Not through open communication and saying, this is what I'd really like, just kind of taking it in the background by poking or making you feel uncomfortable so that you're open and exposed.
Yes, and let the fucking energy sucking begin.
Well, it's kind of like enjoying the buffet, right?
Yeah.
You were the open buffet with a wide open heart and you'd love to do it. And maybe that's what she needed. And you thought you were doing good in the world. So in the end, is it actually darkness?
No, it's not. But when you said that, it made a lot of sense.
Now, but here's the flip side to look at that, right? I really believe if they grew up in that certain way of having to feed or being demonstrated by that mother or father or whatever thing created in them, I really believe that started by darkness. I believe it's a lineage thing. So it's been happening for a long time. Everybody's been carefully trained into these codependent ways. And it truly, there is a fragment of darkness that's coming through them because it's holding them at a low level. I believe, and I've really started to experience it, darkness fucks up our sexuality and our innocence and our purity very early on to get us all in alignment of fitting control mechanisms. And if you're traumatized and you're hurt and you're wounded, they suck off our sexual energy because that's our most powerful energy of who we are. So the quicker you fuck up a human being's sexuality, the quicker they're controllable. Because now they're not self-sourcing, they're not feeding each other by finding partners and enjoying loving innocence and purity. It's now shameful and dirty because the whole diatribe, look at how many thousands of years they've had to design and tune all this. So they know it perfectly. So our vibration stays low, and then it's very easy for the darkness to come through us.
Yes.
Because they need a human I wouldn't say host isn't the right word, but they need a human vibration to come through and the interaction, because they're too low of a vibration. So how can they get into Anya's energy if she's at this and your friend was way down
Yeah.
here? It's easy to step into here and now you got a heart connection. It's like, oh, fuck up Anya really good because I want Anya down,
Yep.
so that eventually I can get into Anya and work on Anya's
Overtake
vibrations
it.
so
Yeah.
that they don't die. But they feed off our sexual energy, our love energy, our positiveness. And by pulling us down, then it's much and more easy to feed. So there is an element of darkness. I see it in almost everyone that's at a low vibration. If you're in depression, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're fighting COVID and the world and all this kind of stuff, they have a firm hold on you and you don't even know it. It's right around your root chakra and your sacral and your interaction with the world. And then they're pulling on you all the time. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much your personal and sexual relationships were mangled up to keep you low?
In the cycle.
Over and over and over again. The codependency of the partner, and the partner you're selecting is like your dad or like your whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that lowness, because they haven't chose any different, or they're fully in the embodiment of this freaking codependent game we're living in. No better, so they can access your energy all the time.
Dude.
So your
Yeah.
friend was sitting in that cycle of normalcy and societal conditioning, which allowed her to stay down here. And then when you talk to her and you've made all these choices to go up here, you either had to come down to meet her, or she had to snipe you or do something to you to pull you down, so that darkness is directly in there trying to create that. And she's
Yes.
not even aware of it.
Yes. Or she is.
She maybe, I see it in family members and all this kind of stuff where the snipes come out when the vibration gets low. And I just have to send love and light to it, because it's not even them in that moment.
Yes. They've
And
been overtaken.
and to sit there and say, oh, this is my loving parents, or this is my parents actively, consciously trying to do this. No, it's the lineage trauma that they're dealing with and have had a hell of a time trying to defeat, is poking the shit out to make sure that me and my kids and everything further down in the lineage is pulled into it. But at the same time, all the people that participated in the lineage trauma, my grandparents and everybody that's passed, they're begging for me to stop the fucking cycle so that this can be free.
What is darkness? Is this just a low density consciousness that.
Well, just remember, we are part of God, and
Yes.
God is everything. So we're a
Yes.
fragment of God. So we're also darkness. It makes it really different when you start to realize that you're part of that same thing. And look at a wounded child, look at a wounded whatever, less and less light gets in when the vibration's very low. So when you're like a lump of coal sitting here, it's black, it's pitch black, it must be evil, it must be dark, because there's so much density you can't even shine light into it. So you don't know if that's just a piece of inert rock or devil incarnate or whatever. When we sit in that state for too long and we're dense, the only thoughts we can have are dense. So not positive, loving, excited, playful, any of those kind of things, they're all dead, because that density, just think of it as like you're just trying to make a diamond in the middle of your hand. And that density came to squash you, to see what the densest part of you is. But is there any darkness in a diamond?
No.
It's crystal clear. Light shines right through it. There's no place to hide inside. Maybe there's an occlusion or something, but a really good pure diamond, which dark coal and pressure and density is creating.
Yes.
So if you start to see, I really truly believe that the darkest dark is the lightest light. If you didn't have evil, if you didn't have people that killed people, didn't cause trauma, didn't whatever, most people would be in this freaking Looney Tunes happy state of positivity that's really not grounded, because everything can't be completely light without the opposite sides. And seeing it, you're not going to know where center is, you're not going to know what balance is, you're not going to know what groundedness is. Like dark is kind of more grounded and heavy vibrational. If you're all light and airy all the time, you're just like fairy tale and pixie and everything's fun and play. But how do you get grounded? How do you have sexuality at that point? How do you, if you don't have those depths, is really what
Mm-hmm.
it is. So I don't think dark, I don't think it's bad or evil or anything like that. People will say Lucifer exists, the darkness exists, all this kind of stuff. Well, they came, even Lucifer and all those were fallen angels, and they believed something different, and they weren't all light, they weren't all whatever. So all these things that we're labeling, can you imagine how much power we've given away to say there's a demon in our life, or that energy is dark or whatever? If all of a sudden you say that's a part of me that just needs some healing or maybe needed my light, would you see that woman differently?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
So she wasn't sucking you dry. She desperately needed your light in that moment, but she
Yes.
wasn't honoring or respecting you, which you've got to create a boundary to allow yourself to
Exactly.
be honored.
And that is the conclusion of that whole thing. And she kept saying during that lunch, like, I am so grateful for our relationship, blah, blah, blah. She kept saying that because I feel like she's sensing that I'm like picking up on this. So she's
Well, you
just,
had your boundary up all of a sudden now. Before it was just like free for all. Here's Anya's heart. What do you need?
yep.
And now you're like, no, you're not going in there without some acknowledgement or
Yeah.
telling me that you agree with me or whatever. And that's the most beautiful way, because she'd just keep asking over and over and over and over again, or taking without you acknowledging, and then you'd feel really upset about it. But if instead it's like, okay, this is a nice grounded relationship, you're going to approach. What if she comes back in a week or two and say, geez, I feel really bad that I dishonored you with that time, and I'd really like to talk to you again, but what are your terms, or something like that? It might feel very much different.
Yes. Absolutely.
And now it's on your terms, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm just reading. There's a whole bunch of comments from Jeremy here. Lucifer does exist with the illusion. Demons do exist in the illusion,
Yep.
and that's just the truth. Agreed.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. It's a reality that we've created. And if there's demons,
Mm-hmm.
there's demons. If there's Lucifer, there's
Exactly.
Lucifer. And it's in the Bible, and it's in a shared reality. So yeah, they most certainly are there. But are they dark and they'll tear your head off every time or whatever? No, that's a part of me. I'm going to have a nice conversation with that part of me, and it's not going to fucking mess in my life, whether it feels it needs to do that for other people. No, because I will not permit that in my world.
Yes, that's the thing, is that you take your power back by like saying, okay, that's a part of me and I'm going to love it and not shun it.
And sometimes you need to be enraged with it, and you need to be angry and frustrated, because that's the full range of human experience. And if you can't be enraged and it's all about shining light and making them feel good, no, because we're right here. You know it, right? I fully embodied darkness the other day, not to hurt anybody.
We'll go there and we'll go. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Well, no, it's fun, because now all of a sudden it's like evil, or what we label as evil, as bad or whatever, is the darkest dark. So somebody gets raped, somebody gets assaulted, somebody gets hurt, somebody
Murdered.
murdered, or all those things.
Yeah.
People sign up for those experiences. It's an experience as a human being. And most of them don't just happen by random odds or whatever. Sometimes the murderer needs to learn an experience of feeling that. If you don't have the full range of knowing what you did in past lives and all those kind of things, how are you ever going to clean up your karma? How are you ever going to go through all those things? And we've all had them. If anybody can stand in front of me and say that they're perfectly light and they've cleaned up everything or whatever, and they can't be in touch with their rage, they're wrong. There's
Yeah.
something very off, and you'll feel it. It's just like they're tilted like this all the time, and it's like, oh, I'm spiritually bypassed, I'm loving, and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. I don't have to get angry anymore or whatever. And they're just like waving their hands, trying to hide the fact that that's really dark and I really don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Until you can have conversations with that part of you that's all that darkness, you're unbalanced. You can't see the whole story. You're leaned, you're distorted. And I'll tell you, like, you saw that change in me and that face change, because I can be both. I can be right here and right now, both, not because I want to scare people, but that's part of me. I can lean way over there and it feels really dense and dark and all that kind of stuff. But if I stand right here, it's like, no, you're not fucking with me today. You're not coming in. You're not fucking with this person I'm working with or any way, shape, or form, because I know it. But if I don't know it, I've hidden it or I've caged it, and it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then a part of me is bad, and my full strength isn't there. My full power isn't there. So where's your rage, Anya?
Oh,
It
I
bubbled
don't
up
know.
a few times lately.
It sure has.
Was it fully in control?
I don't know.
Does it scare you?
No. I don't. I raged out a lot more like in like the last like in December to January there was a lot of rage, and February, October to February there was a lot of rage then. And now it's just been a lot of surrender. Like sometimes it'll spike up, but
Mm-hmm.
but
Show me your rage face.
I don't know.
You go all light and airy right away. Oh, the pixie energy comes out and it's like, oh,
I know.
that would be scary.
It would be very scary.
So play with it in your spare time. Anybody that's feeling that, just go and be rage. Just burn in your chest and be rage. Like, feel it in my body. Feel it. Look at my eyes. It's like, I can be fucking rage if I want to be rage. But at the same time, I can be really, really nice.
I think like it'll get like triggered by my parents, like my dad or something.
It will, and it will come out over time.
Yeah.
But if you can sit with it and have conversations with it before it turns on its full flames,
yes,
that will be a much more healthy experience for everyone involved.
Agreed.
And I'm not forcing anybody, but I'm just telling you, until you can play both sides of the fence, you can't sit in the middle ever.
That's true.
And it'll hold you back more than you'll ever know, because you won't want to have a fight with people. You won't want to turn it on and look in their eyes and say, I'm burning a hole in the front of your forehead, until you start listening to me, because there's no directness. There's no integrity in what we're talking about. Yeah. And we'll ground the situation right here with that rage until we get there. I don't have to yell. I don't have to scream. I don't have to anything. The energy is just poof, right here. Right now, we're going to deal with this.
I'm taking notes right now. This is cool.
Well, it's not meant to scare people.
No.
But rage is fun if you can look at it and it's within tolerance, and you know how to sit with it and can keep it in control. Not that you're controlling yourself. What's a warrior in you? Where's that warrior piece? Who's the piece that could take out a sword and sever a head or whatever from our past in defense of your family?
Wow.
It becomes very different at that point. The minute it's your child or your family, you do a lot more things. But the nice Anya that's just walking around with people never needs her warrior, because she's shining the light. She's shining all that kind of stuff. But do you want to have a leader in your life that can't sit in their rage and sit in control, sit in that trigger and hold space for all of it and say, are you ready to talk? Are you ready to deal with this? Are we ready to make this finished? That grounds it right here, and everybody's pulled present, and it's like, okay, we don't have to go to war because that's out of balance. But if we can go and use all those energies to be co-creative, to hold each other in integrity, you don't fuck with me, nobody fucks with you.
Yes.
You all of a sudden become, and then it becomes about win-win, not like I got to cut your head off to make you to listen to me. No, it's like, right here, right fucking now, we're going to deal with this.
I love that. I'm integrating this as we speak.
Well, everybody should, but to sit down and to give a course to people and say, okay, we're going to explore our rage. And can you imagine groups of 2 or whatever? And it's like, okay, rage for the next 30 seconds. I did a course like this a little while back, and it was beautiful. Most people couldn't even just peep out and like, oh, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. And they're just kind of like this, holding themselves. And there's no projection. There's no nothing. Can you feel the throat all held off? And it's like, I hate COVID and I hate the world and women are hurting me. And did you feel how much energy was trapped there? And my face is getting red. And it's like, fuck this world. This is bullshit. I am not going to permit that to happen. I can scream at the top of my lungs, or I can sit here and make it very visceral for everybody involved so that this is done. Yeah, my face got a little red. I projected that energy. And the point was much more clearly heard. The clarity was instant. Because I was powerful. Was I a demon? No, but I have the power of a demon and all those darknesses inside of me if needed. But when they're expressed through clarity, integrity, honesty, that power that's the weakness of the demon trying to go in by the back door and screw everything up, all of a sudden gets a voice. Like, nobody's listening to me. Well, instead of being a demon and having a child tantrum or whatever, just say, I want to be heard. This is time to be heard. And then energies all come in and it's like, okay, somebody wants to be heard. What the hell's going on here? That's how simple sitting on that bridge and our balance is. Sit with it. So next one on Thursday, I want to hear Anya's rage. How's that?
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Call me in between and we'll have a yelling session and just watch your parents might be.
I raged out with my dad. That was the last time. That was in March.
Yeah, and you felt
that was when I slammed
the door and hurt your hand for a week. And
yeah, that was the last severe rage, and that was very powerful.
Well, you hurt yourself in doing it.
That's okay.
So now let's go back, feel that energy, and do it into your pillow, and then start to feel it. And it's going to be visceral. It's going to go right down into your genitals, and it's going to go right through your heart, because now you're fucking grounding yourself into the world and saying, no more. This is going to change now. And it's beautiful.
This is cool. I feel like this is like a acting.
But it's not acting, but it is. You're playing out a part.
Yeah.
But that's the real you underneath.
Yes.
Because if you're doing it from fake, they're going to see right through you. But the minute it's your actual rage, go in that little cage and let a part of that Anya out, and the stuff's going to show up. Your eyes are going to burn. You're going to have a directness to your voice. Look at how I complete my words. They got like little punctuation marks at the end, and you're listening directly to me, and it's directly at you, but not to hurt you, just to cause us all to be right here and right now.
Yes.
And then communication happens, and there's no lying or whatever, because that's depth, that's connection, that can be intimacy, just with the fire of, well, and then you can get into, can you imagine sexuality and all this other kind of stuff when you're with a partner that can go to those places and not harm and not hurt and be powerful and ravage, and anyways, it gets very visceral, because now you're dealing with the groundedness of natural,
the rawness. Power. Yeah. This is cool. I'm like,
we're gonna have to add to the name of this, I guess. So
yeah, but yeah, that was good. So then, aside from that, the energies were insane over the weekend.
Yeah, very much.
Holy cow! Like, I don't know, but I was able to ground myself today when I ran into the wizard. And I always get this fucking power back, like that. I don't know how to describe it. The magnetism, it like returned again. Like, I forget about it and I forget I can access it. But then I talk to the wizard and then it comes back and I'm like, all right.
Okay. Can I ask you this?
Okay.
Does he ground you?
Yes. That's what it is.
Okay. So you don't need the wizard for that. You just need to begin to realize that he showed it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you feel out of line, my son reminds me all the time. It's like, Dad, are you grounded? It's like, fuck. Oh, shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can breathe and I can start to feel my body. And then it's like, oh, fuck, what's all this shit that I'm carrying? And what's all this other stuff? And because I don't know, I think we just naturally get pulled to carry some of the world's shit
Yeah, or whatever illusion. Like
Yeah.
I just get back into the present moment, like this beautiful feeling and just this presence. Like I could actually feel being in this room rather than anticipating whatever above.
Well, we're standing in the future and hoping this is over and when's this going to be done and all this kind of stuff.
Some sort of result chasing, yeah.
We need to get this grounded right now. Well, yeah, you've been talking about job and career and all this,
Exactly.
but we need to just ground and process this energy, just percolate and transmute. And we talked about earlier when just before we started the show, it's like we are undefining ourselves. We're releasing all the labels, we're releasing all the stories, we're releasing all the worldly shit that is just eating at us all day long, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know what to do with it because it's the world stuff. Not all of it is ours, but we come here and we've agreed to be these anchors. I don't know if you saw my post on the weekend, but I did one called The Impersonal Life. And there's this
Yes.
book I read where we're here to help. This is not all my stuff in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if you saw my status update, but it was like all these little icons and there's a vomit face in
Yes.
between each one. It was like happy and vomit and fire and vomit.
And was there a caterpillar? The one you messaged me, there was a little caterpillar and some wine.
At the very end, there's a caterpillar and a whole bunch of wine glasses because it's like, am I done being the caterpillar and learning every lesson in the book? Because it doesn't seem to feel like it ever ends lately. It's been increasing intensity over 2 years to the point that it's like every fucking day now, like massive. I'll get into some of the stuff
Yes,
dealing
please.
with masculine and feminine soon, but it's like, well, I got smashed open with my parents on the weekend or whatever. And
again?
Well, yeah, it's the last one. It was Thursday or whatever when it was like kind of fuck you and haven't talked ever since. But I had to sit with that still all weekend.
Yeah.
And then I came to that new awareness. Like I said, the darkness is, they're not dark or they're not choosing to be dark or whatever, but their lower vibration being at a societal norm just allows some
swoop in and take over
codependency and all these shame and blame and other weird things that happen that aren't truly them because they're loving people and beautiful, but it's just trickling in through them to test me. And parts of me, I'm not sure that I could deal with all the energy that's there. So parts of me just has to step back. I posted on my timeline, if people want to dig down, something from Abigail Wainwright that was really beautiful about how we're here to transcend all this stuff and we're cleaning up all the energies. And at the very end, it gives a little prayer of how to deal with family that's maybe separated. And it's just like shine light into you and just absorb it and then shine it out to them as a blessing that'll help clear that energy. And because the whatever you want to call it, lineage trauma or whatever is part of me as much as it is them. So I'm flushing that system and then I'm giving them a choice to flush it too or whatever, but without direct conversation because there's so much energy there. I don't think I could ever even address it in a conversation. It would just trigger an explosion. And none of us wants that.
No.
So similar things are happening in my masculinity and love life. So I talked about it a few shows back where I changed from being a sexual healer to being my own sexuality going forward. And then these energies of women started to show up in my life. And I don't want to, well, I'm going to get personal. I felt I got to the point where I wanted to share some of my self-pleasure experience with the woman, and it was really hot for her or whatever. And then I showed her my body as I was going through my practice. And I happened to say that I use porn on occasion to help ignite the energy or whatever. And instantly there was just this like, what do you mean porn? Do you know what that does to your mind? And most men that are like that, and I wouldn't ever allow a man into my life that ever used porn, but she had already. And we'd been going to these levels energetically. She's halfway across the world. And then at one point, it got to the point where she said, I'm going to have to look at that, whether I would ever allow a man with that to continue in my sexuality. And I was like, whoa, holy shit, right? And I brought it up because it stung, and I brought it back, and she was very direct, and she said, she said, you misquoted me, because I read it as, okay, you don't want to be in my life anymore because of
Mhm.
this. And it was like, it was okay yesterday, and I just told you this one thing that's triggered you on all this stuff, and you don't want it. She says, that's not what I said at all. But there was this instant like chastising me as a little boy, and for questioning her or bringing up the energy. And later on in the conversation, we came up, and it was like, we both have commitment issues. And this was
Mm.
it. It was like anything looking to be able to throw or sabotage or
Right.
whatever. But we never got to the point where we discussed that. So I'm sitting with it today, and I'm just like, ouch. It's like, okay, we didn't discuss this thing. She discussed it enough to say that that isn't what she meant, but the energy was still there. And I'm just like, okay, I'm being tested as a masculine now. And the woman's trying to see if I'll run away by putting these things in
Mhm.
front of me, which is okay, but it's really stingy and hurting because it's not being said out in the open. It's all coming through the back way. And I honor that. And there's no judgment of it or whatever, but that's my core wound is women that come into my life and they want something, but they won't tell me, and they'll offer sexuality or they'll offer some other thing to get me in. But what's really wanted underneath is in the shadow. It's like, okay, I want security, or I want safety, or I want a man that's not going to run away. I want a solid rock. I want all these kind of things. And it's all said in this kind of roundabout way. And I never really know what the conversation's about or what each act is about that we're sharing, because it's shadowed in this thing. And I don't even know what the thing is. So rather than getting really hurt about it for the last day, I woke up this morning and it was just like there was a little bit of hurt there. And it's like, well, I'm the only one that can choose to be hurt. And
Yeah.
maybe it's my responsibility to say something about that underneath piece, or to pull into the light the fact that there's things going on in the background. And there's a whole bunch of wounding and crying that wants to come out and say, well, you shouldn't do that or whatever. But there's also a piece of me that can say, I'm not going to deal with that. That's not in the light or the shadow. And it's not my job to bring it out. It's just to stand in my power and say, okay, this is what I'm offering, and we'll continue. And if it doesn't come out of the shadow, do I really need to deal with it? And is it really my shadow if it's not hurting me anymore? There's the question mark, right? So it's like, I don't need to be hurt because I'm not feeling met, or that's how love works, or any of that kind of stuff. It's more like I don't deserve to have to look underneath all the time, and I'm just going to shine my heart open. And if they can't meet at open, then we're not vibrationally in alignment.
Mhm.
And only they can make the choice to step forward. I can be the rock and say, okay, I'm standing here with my heart open, holding space for you. Are you going to enter the crucible of that engagement? The rest is all games. It's all like proving and testing and all that kind of stuff. If you don't trust, then discussions have to be had. If you don't feel the crucible's solid, but if anything, this is going to make the crucible solid. I don't want sexuality be in front of the crucible. I don't want having to love me or send me text messages in front of it. I just want to offer this container.
Yeah.
And does she want to step in and surrender? And let's see, because that's the commitment thing. It's not about, oh, we got to make vows for the rest of our life, or we got to put rings on our finger or whatever. The commitment thing is, can I hold space and watch her burn off her shit that's no longer hers in trust,
Mhm.
without any requirement like, oh, you got to make love to me for you to deserve this or whatever. No, this is the container that a masculine can hold. And once the woman comes out of that, the woman's in her full feminine state, which is very airy and less wounded and attached and bitey and clawing and all that kind of stuff that's been women protecting themselves, and more just in her free state. Because I don't want to have all those attachment wounds. I don't want to have all those kind of what did I do wrong, or why am I not seeing this, or am I being too needy, or any of that kind of stuff. I just want to be met. And that's all I want to be met at. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, so because you mentioned how she wasn't, you mentioned that you go both had the commitment issues and that's what it was, and there was a game of testing and she wasn't speaking up her needs, but did you guys find out what her needs were?
We never got to a place where it could go there. And
Is
it
it
only,
over?
oh, it's not over by any means. It just, this morning it came, and it was like, I offered a container
Yeah.
that was non-sexual, and then the first thing she offered this morning was sexual, and it was like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women need to be met at the non-sexual first,
Yeah.
and not feel that that needs to be part of it, or to please me, or to arouse me, or whatever. It has to be from witnessing in the non-attached state, which sexuality has a whole bunch of dangly bits that nobody even sees, right?
So would it make sense then to just have that conversation of, like, okay, what do you need?
I can only have that conversation once I understand myself, and I get my wounds out. And because things she's saying that her needs are so close to my needs, I have to be able to be that rock. I have to really clearly understand myself before I can go there. So no, I just sent a beautiful text this morning, or a little while ago, and said, I'm looking at all these things that have come up, and it didn't feel proper to do that sexuality piece or whatever, because I offered a container that didn't contain it. And she texted me while we're sitting here, and I'll go explore that. But it's so fucking exhausting every day to go look at I thought I'd done all this stuff. I thought I'd worked through it, and there's always
No,
a
it's
fucking
never.
another level. And it's just like,
It's always.
but it wrenches your heart. And then you got to go look at a bunch of shit that doesn't feel good from past relationships, mother, family. And
But it's
I
helping you.
it's helping me, but it's making me have to step back and see it for clarity, because I can't be absorbed in the emotion of it.
Sure.
Because even right now, it just makes me want to cry, because it's a whole bunch of rejection and shit that's not hers in any way, shape,
Right.
or form. It's mine,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just being punctuated by this talking, and things that she's got at the same time are poking my things. But I know I'm aware enough, and she was respectful about it, that I could speak and say that really hurt and that stung, and I heard this, and she got to respond and say what she saw actually meant. But there was something in the middle that I didn't find out until later, that was her own commitment wound. Like, it's so easy to just pick something to make it the ender of the relationship, and a lot of people do it so that it's just sitting there just in case, so you feel justified afterwards, but nobody wins.
Yes.
And that was that thing. And I'd felt it many times before with other women, so it doesn't belong to her. She was giving me this opportunity to see it. I don't know if she even knew that.
Well, she
And I'd
does
be
now.
humble enough to now know that didn't belong to her. This is me still doing my work. But it makes me want to vomit again, because it's like, how deep can you fucking go before there's nothing left to look at? And it's like, this is all fucked up. I don't want to learn relationships at a 3D level anymore, or go through it. I just want to re-engage at this place of innocence and purity, and all these other things, without the wounds, and
I
having
see.
to be so, it's like walking in a minefield to try
Yeah.
to find out where your partner's wounds are, which resonate with yours, or else you wouldn't have ever freaking connected in the
Signed
first
up.
place.
Yeah.
Because beautiful things are happening. We're going deep as hell, and I honor it and I fully respect it. But it's just like fucking too much some days, because it's just like, I gotta look at every part of me, and then I gotta honor at the same time the woman. And you just get to the bottom of it, and it's like, okay, who am I in all this, and why is this? And there's a piece of the collective that I'm trying to heal at the same time with all this. And none of it feels fun, airy, playful, good. It's just messy old shit that's got to be let go. And what do? Just breathe, and it eventually goes through, or you get step on that minefield again. And this thing pops up.
But relationships, if I can interject, are yeah, there is the airiness, that fun, that sensuality side to it, but it's also got the how do you operate the day to day? How do you take out the trash? That's where the real work comes in. And when you can master taking out the trash, these traumas that are coming up or whatever, like that'll just make everything else.
It is, and most people don't even realize that that's what a relationship is for. You come
Yes.
into connection with a person that has the same wounds as you and needs a mirror and all this kind of stuff, and we all go and try and be airy fairy and fun and make it all about sex and play.
Right.
And within the first 3 months or whatever, then all of a sudden it's like, "Ugh, you're getting on
Yep.
my nerves, what the fuck," and nobody's talking. Where we came in right from the beginning and we're talking about all this shit and we're being
Yeah.
very aware and on all this kind of stuff. And still, even there's stuff underneath it that's coming from both of us. And I don't even know what mine are. She doesn't even, I'm sure she doesn't even know that that commitment wound was there and it came out later. But how do you reflect for that person? How do you do it in a way that's non-triggering, doesn't trigger yourself because you got the same fucking wound? All you can do is just breathe and then step away
Yes.
and look at it all. And that's what I'm doing today. It's not like, go away, I don't want you in my life or whatever. It's like, I'm having to look at this because most of it doesn't belong to you, but what pieces belong to you, I want to reflect for you, for your highest good, and hopefully you can reflect for me. And then we advance. That's It's just like that 3-month relationship thing we talked about. Go into relationships for healing.
Yes.
Spend the 3 months, go deep. Nobody can run away. You're in a contract to fucking deal with whatever shows up. Have a supportive community underneath that you can go to and say, this is fucking hard and I can't talk to her anymore. Have your friends hold you while you're having a conversation and you're dealing with mother wounds and father wounds and codependency and past lives and all this kind of shit. And then you get through it in a really rapid amount of time.
But I think that's what's happening right now. You're just pioneering this thing as we speak.
Fully agree. Someday I'm going to look at it and say, oh, this was so great. And it was so fun. And oh, it was so playful. And
exactly.
It's like laying in bed and crying and trying to figure out what's me and what's her. And so, yes.
I mean, you put it out there. The universe can, the universe
I'm accepting it. And sometimes you just have to step back and take a breath.
Yes.
Because today I was struggling to, how do I have that conversation and what's hers? And am I going to project my shit? And it was just like, no, because that's just hurting. I'm going to go back and breathe. And I meditated on the couch and I just felt much better and send love into it. And hopefully I can dissolve all this shit. So it's really simple afterwards because I was aware, and what was mine, I'll deal with. And hopefully what's hers, she'll deal with. And then we can come and shine together in a better way.
I have a good feeling about this lady.
Oh, she's amazing. I enjoy talking to her, and it's so amazing because we both agreed we weren't attracted to each other. We weren't called and feeling that we needed to have a committed relationship. And we could now explore the depths of it. We're agreeing to be playful. We're agreeing to be innocent and fun and all this kind of stuff. And then really, with each step of vulnerability, we're getting deeper because now we're seeing these core wounds. And now we can hold space for each other in these cold core wounds, but it's the most fucking intense stuff that's your core wound, so that you've got to go look at it and eventually acknowledge the only person that can love yourself is you. And it's not, I'm trying to get love from her, I'm trying to get sexuality from her or whatever. I'm trying to hold the space where we can both see ourselves in the clarity of what's happening so that we can talk about it because of the vulnerability and depth we've created.
I think this all sounds really beautiful. I really do.
Give me a month, I'll maybe say I fully agree, but it's fucking intense.
It sounds beautiful, though.
I can see underneath it, and I can see all the stuff, and there's absolutely no projection. She's a beautiful woman. She's pinned me on a whole bunch of stuff, and scares the hell out of me. I'm sure it's scaring the hell out of her too, and it's all okay. But how to be a man, how to hold space, how to hold the woman so that she feels safe without lashing out. It's all like relearning all this stuff. I told her yesterday, I said I was born with all these ways of interacting with women and all that kind of stuff, and every date and all these things. None of the women could understand it because they weren't interacting at that awareness of what
Mm-hmm.
self-love was and all this kind of stuff. And that was like, you're too much and you're too direct and you're too whatever. And I'm just trying to get vulnerable with people, and it's scaring them away because they
They're
don't want to be in any way, shape, or form.
they're looking for that exit strategy. Like, oh, well, he did that little thing, so that gives me, like you said, the excuse to dip out instead of looking at my own shit.
But if I'm a man and I can see through that and I can call you on that exit
Yep.
strategy, are you choosing to do this so that you can run away?
Mm-hmm.
And I hold your feet to the fire without saying fuck you or
Mm-hmm.
bitch or anything like that. Just say, are you really prepared to run away like that?
Woo!
Like, ooh, yeah, it's visceral and it's kind of sexual and a whole bunch of shit. And then eventually we keep going down into depth and intimacy and the connections there. And a lot of times it becomes very visceral. It can be sexual at that point. It can be a whole bunch of other things, or it can be just like breaking open in massive tears and you're shattered wide open because somebody's seen you right to the depth. And I
And
think
what's
that's what women
scarier?
long for.
They long for it, but it's so scary when it actually appears. You're like, oh my god, this person sees me, but and then you get in your own head.
But at the same time, they've trained men out of being able to read their energy, read what's
Yes.
really going on underneath. They lie to them and say, that's not true. But until once I've got an alignment with this, I can feel that woman. I can feel what's going on. And I can now say, I know what I felt when you said that. And there's something off in that from what you're saying. Let's explore that. It's like, okay, caught
Fuck.
me in my lie or my indiscretion or trying to hide behind something. I wouldn't say it was a lie because it's a protection mechanism.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's either I go more vulnerable or I use this to explode everything and be done. But that's really truly kind of almost running away from the energy that you did all this work to try and expose.
Yeah.
So that's the viscerality of using relationship for this. I posted on my timeline. I think you'd love it. Karen McMullen, I can't remember her name, but she talks about gene keys, but she had a channeled message about sexuality, and it was done Christmas time or early this year. And it got in, and it says, it's from the Council of Light, and it says how mangled up sexuality is and how it's got all these touch points for everyone and it's scary as hell. It says you as a human being have two choices, either be a sexual healer or a sexual wounder. There's no in between. And I've always been told to be ashamed of being a sexual healer because that's touching a person's genitals or getting them to be sexual or whatever. But my sexual healing work is from the most integral, grounded space that's possible, all about the woman and being clear about what I am and having my full range available. It basically said that sexuality is the best healing tool there is in existence. And to find a person that you can share sexuality with, first you got to start with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to get okay with your body and be grounded and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what feels good before you can start telling a lover or somebody you welcome into your life what feels good. And then it's a very gentle, conscious journey. The woman has to be asked a lot of questions. The woman has to be, is it okay? Does this feel good? Can we talk while we're doing it? Because the woman, it said in the video, has an over and over wound where she was taken from and it was never karmically justice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the only place is to have a man to come in and very gently open those wounds and then look at them, help them work through them. And it's not about jumping on and penetration and all this kind of stuff. It's about touching and massage and grounding and opening slowly the woman. And I'm not talking the yoni first, it's the heart.
Yes.
And the flower of the woman, and then reconnecting all that stuff. And a man needs to be taught, how do you arouse a woman? How do you make her body start to be ready? And it's like 40 minutes before a woman, when she's feeling safe, before everything's fully engorged. It's like a hard on for a man. It's like the lingam is not hard until all these things have happened inside a woman. And you have to understand that the anatomy of a woman, there's a point where you become a man or a woman in the chromosomes or whatever.
Yeah.
And What is the clitoris in a woman is this wishbone shaped thing around her yoni, which is the penis in the man.
Mm-hmm.
So that same tissue that gets engorged,
Mm-hmm.
that gives a man a hard on, can take 40 minutes in a woman to
Why does
show
it
up.
take so long?
Because a woman's very emotional and her heart has to be in it. And a man, his heart doesn't have to be in it. He can become aroused just from a look, a feeling, attraction.
A motorcycle.
Yeah. But how many men are in their heart when they have a full heart on? A man that's got an open heart actually sometimes will not even be able to get a heart on, because the energy that would create that arousal is in his heart now.
Wow, that's so fascinating. Like, do you think that was designed on purpose so like people don't copulate so much? So it's like more of an intended, or like,
No. Well, imagine most of the men that have erectile dysfunction, they're calling it, are men that are over 40.
okay.
Guess what? Those men have midlife crises and other things, and they're much more in their heart. And it's not recognized by women that men can have an orgasm with a completely soft cock, but nobody knows that. Sexuality is not about penetration. It gives a stimulation and moving of the energy. You can have the energy go right through the throat and other things, but that is not all of sex. That's only about 25%. There's a medicine wheel that shamanism teaches, and there's like water-based and fire-based and earth-based and air-based orgasms and all this kind of stuff. A really hard lingam is only 25 to 50% of the whole thing. So if you judge a man by how hard he is, you've missed half of him.
Yeah. Wow. So it's really just, that makes a lot of sense then for women, because a lot of times we we have sex without our heart being in it too, because of like the pressures and everything we've accumulated, and we pretend it's not a big deal even though deep down it kind of is. And so like that makes sense why there's such a high statistic of women who can't orgasm, because they're not in their heart space when they're consummating,
and their genitals are filled with traumas, and it's all blocking. It's just like this. A woman's cervix, feel this part here. A woman's cervix can feel like that, like rock hard, because she's turned off her womb and she will not create. All her trauma is right there.
And it would just make sense to me then that that it is more so for a male's pleasure, or that is her manipulation tactic that she could use as her like way to get what she needs or whatever.
A lot of sexuality is around that for women. It's like, okay, I'll give you sex if you do the trash, or you go and make money for us
or whatever.
Yeah, and then kids show up, and then all of a sudden the responsibility goes on to the kids instead of the husband, and then a lot of times sexuality disappears and the marriage starts to fall apart because the man doesn't always feel met, or the sexuality, the energy that was used for sexuality is now going towards child rearing and those kind of things. Wow. So there's so many variables. Now, here's one, and for people that maybe their husband can't get a hard lingam, have a man sit with his chest right against your yoni and have him penetrate you with his heart.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? A wide open heart, and just feeling it, making tones or vibrating or just like moaning noises or whatever. That'll go straight into the woman, all the way up the chakra, and can go straight into their heart. And most women would never even have thought of that as a way of being with their man, or having the man lay on top of them and just the body weight, because that can be like a penetration of energy, and then heart against heart, and just practicing softening into it, letting the breath go. You want to calm the parasympathetic nervous system, have somebody lay on top of you, not so that they choke you or whatever, but a lot of people can just bear the body weight of each other. That's why weighted blankets are so fun now, because that weight literally grounds you. That other person's energy will ground you, and your whole body will relax, and you don't even know why.
Wow. It's because like we've had the conditioning of like follow your heart, but like then at the same time it's like supposed to not be a real thing, like it's just supposed to
Mhm.
be for Disney,
Mhm.
but it's so real and so true and just
So many times, I know women do this a lot. They want to open their heart wide from almost the first time. And
yeah.
at minimum, I think the first sexuality is when the heart has to open, or else it's not something. So what happens a lot of times when first sexuality happens, a man is sharing this sexual thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like a sampling of how's this going to be in the future with this person, and they may not open their heart in the same way. And they think that because they're aroused or whatever, that that's the opening of the heart. But there's no dance, there's no invitation, there's no speaking about, really, I want to feel your heart when we're doing this. And most women get wounded afterwards because it was never heart centered, but it was never asked at the beginning, and this expectation that didn't happen that made them feel really good, or they then feel used because the heart of the man wasn't open.
It was never there
It was
or
never asked to be there.
assessed. Yeah, it was never asked because they're afraid if they had asked, then they would have had a harsher truth or an abandonment, you know?
Wouldn't that have forced a conversation about what do we want this to be and where are we going?
Yes.
Where instead it was just like, let's have this hollow experience for pleasure,
Let's
and then
roll
I
the
feel used
dice.
afterwards. And
Let's
then,
roll the dice. Gamble.
yeah,
If it
hoping,
happens, it happens.
well, hoping he'll hug me afterwards and make me feel really grounded and happy. I could teach a man in an hour all the stuff that's needed to meet at that level. And then we build a community of people. You teach women and say, okay, this is what women need to do. And they got to ask lots of questions, and they got to work on intimacy and depth. And how do you open your
Mm-hmm.
heart? And how do you coach the man into opening his heart in the middle of the process, right? And are you letting him penetrate you before you're even open and ready? Are you asking permission? Are you all these things? And if your energy is not connected, no wonder women don't have orgasms, because if their energy is not connected and they need to feel fully the man is just having a friction-based experience.
Yeah.
So, but if the man's lingam is connected to the clitoris, into the heart, into all these things, the woman's going to feel much more connected, much more grounded,
Safe.
safe, and she's going to be able to key off his energy, because the man is kind of building and the woman's filling the chakras. And after you get to a certain point, it's just an avalanche that's eventually going to happen. But nobody's acknowledging that or dealing with it, or being aware that there's a process. Like the man's giving the energy into the woman's yoni and she's breathing it into her heart. And when she releases it from her heart, which is connecting to his heart, he's doing it when he's breathing in. So each time he's breathing out, he's filling, and you're amplifying it like a hundredfold every time. So microcosmic orbit is what that's called in the body. How many people have experienced that? How many people have felt that energy flow? Well, if you had no heart connection, that couldn't even have started.
So it's like we've been living in this simulation of just baseless sex for so long, friends with benefits or just heartless
Mm-hmm.
intercourse.
Mm-hmm. Coco is saying, I've worked with men and erectile dysfunction. It's because their heart cock connection is broken rather than the other way around. That I agree too. But it can be both ways, right? If the man's not feeling the connection to the woman, he may not feel desired, or he may now feel that he's not worthy or not good enough because his little man's not standing up, or whatever. And there can be a whole bunch of different emotions that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And women that haven't been trained or are aware of sexual healing or whatever may shame that,
Right.
or whatever, and because nobody's been taught that that's a heart-centered reaction sometimes. And it's, if we could support the man and say, okay, there's something going on here, I love you, just be it, or let me worship you, or vice versa, or whatever, because sex doesn't stop at the minute that it's not hard. There's a whole bunch of other pleasure that can happen between men and women. And if you just think it's intercourse, you're sadly missing out.
But that's all we've been taught. Like, that is pornography. That is what we grew up on. That is what we've seen.
And once the cum shot happens or whatever, the woman goes away and cleans up and we're all done or whatever, where it should be about holding and cultivating heart connection and other things, which we don't do.
No.
So, thank you for that, Coco. Yeah, it's insane how this cycle is going, and we're all getting wounded because it's not in alignment with porn or what
values of society, egos. Yeah,
exactly. And it's all judgment that you can't have pleasure with another person because you got to be married or other things. But people are doing it in shame all the time. How many people have multi partners through high school and college so that they can find the one or whatever? So we're not following marriage guidelines, or we're not in all this kind of stuff. So we're really doing it anyways, but we're just being ashamed about it rather than or not giving a shit, which is a version of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So really, if we can get to a new society where when you have a pull towards a person, that means something. It means that maybe there's a connection there. Maybe there's some wounds to deal with or whatever. And then if you can negotiate a bit of a relationship contract so that you can explore that for 3 months or whatever, you're now following the pull of all these things. It doesn't mean you're going to marry that person. All you're doing is agreeing to go into this space to explore this pull. And guess what? Your universe and your guides and all those know exactly the right person. And if you don't spend 30 years of a marriage trying to deal with this pull because you ignored it and you tried to align it with a societal norm, you're going to be wounded at the end of it. And you're going to be really angry because nothing ever sorted it out. Because relationship was all about love and romance and kisses and really hot sex, and then have some kids and stuff, which isn't really about you doing work on yourself. Well, it's just distracting you.
Yes.
From truth.
Yes.
And now you're angry and it didn't all work out and it's not like your mom and dad and blah, blah, blah. And you just got lost.
Yes. I think that's like the best way of describing it. It's either guiding you towards the truth that you need or it's distracting you.
And if you're not taught the tools to explore when the energy comes up, what'll end up happening is you'll become like an abuser of the other person, like a man that hits or drinks too much. You'll hide in alcohol or mushrooms or marijuana or whatever, and you'll just bypass it away. Like that is too scary to deal with that energy. But if we could do a workshop with people to explain trauma, we could say, okay, here, I'm going to show you what it feels like to be triggered. And I'm going to show you how to deal with it. How do you breathe? What's it feel like in your body when you're triggered? It's like, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And then you're panicked because you're about to die because you can't breathe, but it's all your choice of you're holding yourself, where the first thing should be like, oh, there's something wrong with my body. Okay, I got to breathe.
Yes.
First thing, teach to breathe. Teach to step back, to give yourself that safety in that moment so you don't feel like you're going to get hit by your dad used to hit you or your boyfriend or whatever. And then it's like, okay, what energy is showing up here now? And we can work through that. And once you've been there a couple times, you'll realize that's your trigger. It's not you about to die, because your whole body thinks you're about to die in that exact second. All the bad stuff that ever happened is right here and right now. And you like tilt. I'm like, what the fuck, right? Where it's not, it's all your trigger coming up. And if you could find a safe way, in one of the ISTA trainings that I did, they would teach you, you'd go in the corner and you'd fucking handstand up your fucking man. And there'd be people in the corner all the time just releasing all that energy, but it wasn't directed at anyone. And all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, where'd all that energy come from? Now I feel good. And then I come back and say, okay, you really triggered me about my dad or something, or I'm not even sure what I was triggered about. Can we talk some more? And now that mirror is working for you.
Yes.
And guess what? You feel safe as hell with me because I'm not fucking projecting, or I'm not grabbing you by the hair and saying, where the fuck do you get off saying that? Because that's the way somebody was taught in their past. Now it's like we can have a real discussion, and it's like, yeah, I'm a wounded person and
And
there's
it
some stuff here.
clears.
And 10 to 1, that same thing that I'm dealing with, you're going to have an attachment to as well. And to have me show a good example of dealing with that energy shows you an example of dealing with that energy too. And all of a sudden there's a permission granted that wasn't there before.
And it alleviates shame
Absolutely.
so
I could have
much.
tears streaming down my face after screaming like that, and my face is bright red, but I'm finally calm.
Yeah.
And I can face that thing. And you're going to be like, holy fuck, look at all that energy that was going over there. Your tears are probably streaming down your face too, because you're feeling some version of the same thing. And right now we dealt with it.
Yeah, like I feel like we have people that come into our lives, and it's never, the feeling is never just one-sided. If you're feeling something, that person is probably equally feeling that same sensation to a
Know where to poke.
right. And I mean, it could be with anything too. Like it could be just like the feeling of that attraction, that chemistry, the alignment, and the shadows as well, and the poking. Like, they'll know how to ask that trigger question, like just blindly. Like they're not even trying to trigger you.
Your partner will know those.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It's energetically just laying out there. And I had some of that yesterday. It was like, okay, I had some shame around using porn and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was instantly out on the, it was like,
Yeah.
And then I had to own it. It's like, fuck, I'm a man. I've spent my entire life in not being able to access sexuality in healthy ways because the way the system is or whatever. That's my outlet. No fucking shame in that ever again. And I don't watch degrading kind of stuff. There's a lot of really beautiful where orgasms are actually happening and people are actually having a pleasure, because you can see it. You can watch them on two screens, and this is like dark and heavy, and it's just people with big boobs and everything's bouncing, and there's really nothing. Or you can see one where yonis are getting wet and women's faces are getting red and that kind of stuff, and that the energies that are involved are radically different. If I had a healthy sexuality in my life right now, I wouldn't need that for a second. But right now, at a point in my life, would you prefer I repressed that and didn't and held this negative energy, or would you prefer that I dealt with it in a way that released my urgency, let's call it, because want versus need are two different things. And to get into that balanced space where I can work from a not lack and approach.
Yeah.
It's a way different place for a man.
How do you feel about the bush?
The bush for a woman?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, we need to understand that it was put there for a reason.
Yes, protection.
It keeps yeast and all these other foreign materials out of that part of a woman's body. And that part of a woman's body is very carefully balanced by nature. And if it gets out of balance, then yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, or whatever the smell stuff. So, and a lot of people would say that by trimming it, it makes it look like a little girl's yoni, because that's kind of
whacking it off completely,
taking it off completely and being completely bare. Some people believe that that's more healthy because you can wash better and no bacteria are going to get trapped in there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a different thing from a perspective of pleasure and all that kind of stuff. Hair can be very obtrusive as well, right? My people in my past didn't want to shave, and those hairs will get in and it'll rub the hell out of everything, which is no fun. So then you got to have lube or other things involved. But it's very attractive. A lot of women do the landing strips and different things, and it can be kind of like trendy or whatever. But I think a woman in her natural state there's nothing wrong with it. I'd say trim it enough that it's not like getting in each other's kind of thing. because when it's out of control, same for a man. I can't imagine how it would feel
Right.
doing oral sex or whatever, and having for a woman, that's not fun and it's not part of it. But it's really what makes you feel sexy, right?
Yeah.
As a person.
Because I just meant bring it up because in like pornography there was that whole thing of just no bush and
Well, it's
like
gone kind of there, and now it's coming back where it's now sexy again or whatever. Um, but really, it's a lot of work, and you got to do it regular, or things get pointy pretty
things
quick.
get pointy real quick.
Um, so there's all this time and effort being spent. Can you imagine the number of women that go shave the shit out of themselves every night, every time they go to the bar, hoping that something's going to happen, and then nothing ever happens, and then all that angst and waiting, like,
It's a terrible game.
receive your partner in whatever state they are, and it's
Or
beautiful.
just don't have it. Just like, yo, like let's do it. Let's schedule. I'm glad I met you. Let's
Mhm.
schedule another time. Let me
Mhm.
just let me have some time to get
Well,
ready.
most people wouldn't follow through because they're in such a drunk state or whatever that was needed to
Right.
get there.
Right.
Well, and women have their times of the month, and all these kind of things
Sure.
as well, which can get in there, and that's classed as dirty, but it really isn't. It's a little messier than typical, but women have cycles, and I've been learning just recently that women are more aggressive at certain times, whatever, and other times they're very etheric, and it's all based on their natural hormonal cycle.
Yes.
But if a man doesn't know what stage she's in that, how can he know how to approach her? So it's a very important thing that you discuss all those things and say, okay, I'm just before my period or whatever, and I'm very earthy
Yes.
or etheric, or after this, it's just like I just want hard ravaged thing for sexuality. I can't read that, and if I misread it, it could damage the relationship and a whole bunch of other things. Because if you want really soft and gentle, and you're coming in hard and aggressive, it's like, oh, he can't read me or whatever. But I will say right here and right now, most men don't know how to read a woman's energy when it comes to any of that kind of stuff. So the best thing you can ever tell a man is what you want,
I agree.
and adjust it as you go along. Because for men that haven't had a lot of sexuality or haven't been doing it regularly or whatever, every woman's body is different. It's like an instrument. And
Mm-hmm.
to play it, you're not going to know what
The notes.
the notes and where the strings are, and where things are best, right?
Yeah.
The best one, yeah, we're going really deep into it, but the best one, there's actually websites now that show women giving themselves pleasure. And I think that would be the best thing. I think it's ifeelmyself.com or something. I'm giving an ad or whatever for them, but where the woman's just giving herself pleasure, just lays down on the
Sponsor us.
bed.
Sponsor
And
us.
yeah, but and you get to see how she touched her clitoris, and does she use penetration right away? Does she touch her breasts or whatever? A man should watch dozens of those and just start to see, and they'd find it's very different from the way they approach sexually, because or even lesbian sex or whatever, and how they do the same thing because they know each other's bodies. We never got a training course.
Right.
And the more that we can see that woman in her natural state and what she loves is the best training that we could ever receive as a man. So, and I think the other side is men need to be a lot more communicative during their participations with women as well, because a man will treat himself very roughly and like pulling and bending and all this kind of stuff, and women are like dainty and really careful or whatever, where we really need to learn about how the other person's body is enjoyed.
Yeah.
And for a lot of men, a lot of the sensation, they're spending a lot of time up and down and all this kind of stuff, where a lot of it is in the frenulum and on the top, where women don't realize that, and they're spending all this time doing other things. I'll spend a little while with your partner. Does it tickle when you go this way, or is it more up here? Do some tests, and it's like, how does this feel good? This is Everyone's different,
Yeah.
and where the traumas are in those parts will make it there no sensation. So if you're wasting a whole bunch of time in a certain spot where you really just got to probe around and find out, and guess what, if he's grounded versus not grounded, it's going to be in completely different places.
Mm-hmm.
Same with a woman. If she's not fully in her body, what can you imagine if her yoni is 3 inches above because she's 3 inches out of her body? You're really not even touching where the energy center is because it's not in alignment where the physical center is. Yikes. We're not even participating in the same energy space.
Yeah, and so it just like makes sense, like a majority of us spent time not even in our bodies. So like we were just having this contactless sex.
Mm-hmm. And you were friction based because the energy wasn't even there. The person was 6 inches
Yeah.
higher in their body, and the poor woman wasn't getting met in her heart because nobody ever spent the time to do an energetic practice beforehand, to clear the space, to get all the old partners out, to get all the old shit that doesn't belong there, and build a bubble so that you're really right there
In the present.
in the exact present, right here and right now.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden your body feels different and it tingles different and it feels good. Could you even get into your heart then without that? Who teaches that? We need to teach that stuff. We need to get people centered. We need to get people down into their body to have real etheric sensation. And then they're going to want a different level of connection, depth, intimacy
Mm-hmm.
before even sexuality happens. Because can you really get into the heart? Can you really open it until that person trusts you? And how do you get that person to trust you? Well, it's not through sex. I'll say that much. It's about talking and being vulnerable and all this kind of stuff. And sex can get you partway there, and then you can realize that your body's compatible. But can you really go to that next higher level? Can you really break it open? Can you really be that crucible for each other where you can burn yourself wide open and use that sexual energy for healing without that trust?
Right. I didn't trust my last partner.
And how was your sexuality?
It was fine. Like I never orgasms, but he was always like it was good. Like, but he was always his end goal was always like trying to make me orgasm, but it was just he was just putting pressure on me, and I'm just like, you're just putting pressure on me. Like, just be in the moment. Shut up.
Mm-hmm. So, but his focus was on a future state
Yes.
that required you to participate.
Yes. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel good about himself.
Well, that's the man. It's like prove
Right.
yourself to the woman.
Yes.
Well, what if there wasn't any penetration involved? What if it was about just honoring your body? And it's like, okay, here we're going to play with you
Right.
until something shows up.
Sure.
And then once you've seen that show up a couple times, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I trust that he knows my body enough. Put grounding in there and then a whole bunch of other stuff, and then start talking about heart-centeredness before you any penetration, and something different happens.
Right. Like this person was so far removed from their heart. Like even having any sort of conversation would probably be like pulling teeth or whatever.
But to have a good relationship, you had to have sex.
Yep.
And to make you happy, he had to make you have pleasure somehow. Make you. Does anybody make you? The most beautiful thing that you can say during sexuality is to be respecting each other and do something like come for me, like an invitation rather than force.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you've got permission now to crest over top of the hill and have pleasure. And that can be taken as a command, which some women like, because then it's surrender versus or whatever. Some women, it's just like they've never been told that before, so it's just like this big rush of like, fuck, okay, it's my turn or whatever. And a woman can go on and have 6 more. A man, it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Men can have 6 more too. It's just different, and it's got to be a lot more energetic. So it's harder once the physical body has given up its release or whatever you want to call it versus sharing it with another person, right? So we're so confused and all that kind of stuff. Nobody's really talking about what's really important. yeah, that's why I speak so much about sexuality. We keep coming back to it on this show, is
That's what
that
it is.
sexuality is going to be healing, and the quicker we can find somebody to share that with and to go deep with and find ourselves with, the whole world's going to be different, because more and more people are going to ask for this, and that's going to be their base state. And it's going to be normal to say, hey, I need to connect to your heart first. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of building up and all that kind of stuff. And if men are trained of how to get there without having to force or manipulate or whatever, and same with women, then something beautiful can happen. Where before it's like, it's a bunch of lack, and it's like, I can't, women are lying to themselves or whatever. And I don't know what to do. If I want a woman to approach and say, hey, how are you? I'd like to get to know you better, or whatever, instead of playing hard to get and all those kind of games, which has nothing to do with building intimacy. I still don't understand that whole process. And then it's like, hey, yeah, you're very beautiful. I'd love to talk to you some more. And that connection and depth starts to grow, and it gets into your heart. And then you can start to feel it in your genitals when you're starting to get an attraction. And then it's like, okay, the intimacy is there, the connection's there, our bodies are starting to respond. Then is it not okay to say, okay, I'm feeling very aroused, or I really like to explore this further? Is that something you like as well?
Mm-hmm.
And in the old way, it would be like, no, way too soon. I got to meet your mother and I got to do all this kind of stuff. Where instead, I would love it. It's like, okay, yeah, I'd like to explore some more sexuality, or how would that look for you? And right at the first time, it may be just gently touching the body, or kissing, or something. And then it's like, oh, that was nice. I'd like to go a little further. Is that okay? And having that, so you can say what you want at the same time as I can say what I want. It's like, oh, touch my breast, or touch my here, or whatever. And then it's an advancement, and now it's a choice, and you have a choice in saying it, and it's not all about the man leading and guessing what your body's asking for or whatever. Then I can trust you that you're always going to say what you want, and I'm never going to be left in a situation where it's like I overstepped without ever being told that I was overstepping. And then I'm kind of screwed before I start, because I was trying to follow the energy flow and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know where your trauma is. I don't know where your hit points are. And it's okay to have them, but I want to have a person that I can trust, and they're just going to open and smile and say, hey, no, that's a little bit too fast, or whatever. I'm not feeling it yet. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, wow, you want to ground me. All of a sudden it's like, okay, you're honoring your body, and we're never going to do anything that I'm going to feel or be forced to feel bad about afterwards because I misread or some other thing, because you're the only one that knows. And sometimes your body will be screaming yes, and your mind will be saying no fucking way. Because it's like, I was hurt and this happened and blah, 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 blah. And I'm feeling the body and everything's ready for me. And now you're mad at me. Ouch.
It
So,
was very fascinating.
but we got to teach this to people. We got to get people aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And realize that their sexual longings and their flirtatiousness and their wanting to engage with other people is normal.
Yes.
And really, we shouldn't be seeking forever partners right away. We should be understanding ourselves and getting through our trauma and working through that, because we are just a minefield without training that's just going to hurt over and over and over again. You'll be 6 marriages later and you'll be so broken and so angry, and having no sexuality in your life, it's screwed up. But spend the first 5-10 years of your life going through those conscious relationships, instead of just sleeping with everybody at the bar during college or whatever. Hey, I want a conscious 3 months relationship. Is that something you'd like? Let's explore it. And it's like, I'm learning myself and I'm finding myself. Negotiate it, and then you have it, and it's like, oh, let's do another 3 months. That was really nice. Where before it was just kind of left up in the air, and anybody could break up whenever, and everybody's heart was wounded. With this way, there's no expectations.
There's no surprises.
Well, and women can explore that heart contact, and they can ask for it, and all this kind of stuff, and they're probably going to get a better answer of why they were rejected, or why something happened. In a conscious 3-month thing, because are you going to be mad at somebody for 3 months and say, oh, passive aggressive shit or whatever, you weren't enough for me or whatever? The honeymoon phase is like 3 months or more or whatever. You can have really passionate connection with a person. But once you have passionate connection with a person, sexuality, and you're sleeping in the same bed and you're locked in for that 3 months, you're going to have some conversations probably.
Yeah.
And it's like, what came up? You cried during that. Can we talk about it? Is that something that you'd like to share? And then it's like, fuck, somebody wants to hear me and all this kind of stuff, where you just build that into the relationship contract. And then you're constantly doing that work. And if anything, by the end of that 3 months, you're going to trust that person probably, or hate them.
Yeah.
There's one or the other. But that's somebody that might be safe enough to go in and do some even deeper work. So we're do a 6-month one now or whatever. And now it's like, I'm dealing with my daddy issues and I'm crying all the time and I'm really scared or whatever. But you trust that person enough because you saw their deep, dark secrets in parallel and they were no different than yours. And it's so simple, but it just terrifies people because first, the energy is going to be really strong. Second, it's like committing to sexuality with someone through all that shame and guilt. And I don't think you could have that conscious relationship without the sexuality, because that's the crucible. That's the thing that bubbles the kettle.
Yeah.
Just to sit and say, hey, we're going to have a intimate 3 months of talking and depth, but not realizing our bodies are going to want to connect. And the thing that forces and smashes open and pops all those bubbles is the sexual energy.
Mm-hmm.
And if we ignore that part of ourselves, I don't think we ever really can heal. I don't, there's monks and stuff like that repress their sexuality and they go into all this kind of stuff. But if you're wandering around in the world and you're not a monk, a fully embodied spiritual being is partly sexuality.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 50%, if not more.
That's why we have our body.
Exactly. Well, and that's what you came for, a conscious experience in a physical body, is to be able to have physical sexuality. Otherwise, it would all be energetic and you wouldn't even know it. But the physical part is mixed up because we're not using the energetic side.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So that's why Awakening Through Sexuality exists as a community. So join that. It's on the bottom of these notes of each of the invites. And the Living Your Light community, that's the place where people can start to connect and feel safe in having deep discussions and connection with people and being held in your trigger and learning courses so that you can do all that kind of stuff. So then you can maybe meet somebody that has similar perspectives, has similar training, is going to be a safe person that you could maybe go a little deeper with.
Yeah.
And then you need that community afterwards, because it's like, they're poking the shit out of this thing that scares the shit out of me. Go talk to your friend at the community, because he's going to have the tools and the ability to look back and see in your shadow and say, hey, that's you projecting on her. What are you talking about? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, tell me. And then it heals, because shit comes up.
Indeed.
So let's keep shining our light and let's keep making people aware. I don't know. I guess I got to rename the thing. It's not just Avomitable. It's and Sacred Sexuality, I guess. But
yeah, Avomitable and horny.
Yeah. World we live in. So.
Good. I love these things.
But it's so pure and it's so easy.
It's fun.
If we look at all the repression and all the things that have screwed us up and all the traumas and all this kind of stuff, it all revolves relationship, sexuality in probably 80 or 90% of the situations.
Mm-hmm.
And we're wounded as children very early on by darkness, so they can suck us dry of all of our sexual energy and all that repression. You can't date, you can't whatever, because they're constantly living off your lack.
Yes, in fear. Could you imagine, like, if you actually tapped into your potential?
Mm-hmm. It's coming. That's what, start choosing you.
Yeah.
Start saying, I'm not in lack anymore. I'm choosing conscious partners. People are showing up. I'm having the hard discussions because I'm literally unwinding all that shit that the darkness and the repression of society has programmed into me to say that that's not okay.
Yeah.
I've entered into a conscious connection at a sexual level with a person so that we can explore all these things exactly like we talked about, so that we can both shine light into the things that aren't working for us or whatever. But do you really want to do that with a person that you're trying to have a long-term relationship with? No, you need to choose somebody that there's no attachment to first, so that you can really go deep. Because if everything caves in or they cave in, you still, I wouldn't say protected isn't the right word, but you're able to go much deeper with a person that you know less. It's exactly the opposite of what we think. Because what's a one night stand, for example? It's like I'm showing my fullest expression of sexuality, and I never want to see you again because that was maybe dirty and shameful and scary. But it's the same energy. It's like choosing to go really, really deep with
someone just at random.
Well, and it doesn't have to be random. You can screen them and all this kind of stuff, but
sure,
you got to be able to walk away if things got really hard, but you won't, because the only person that loses is you by walking away from it.
Yeah.
Where if you put that extra level of, I got to have a relationship with this person or they're going to be my partner afterwards, it puts all these other hooks in it that make it about them and or that your lack or whatever, which distorts it.
And I always carried that trauma in the past. I've had those hooks.
Mm-hmm.
It took me so long.
They were built by society and all this kind of stuff, and everybody's just longing so they can find someone so that they don't feel lonely anymore and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's like, I want to do this work and go to this deep level, and I'll cry and I'll scream, and I'm not scared to show that I'm ugly inside or whatever you think of yourself, because you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because you haven't put that attachment in.
Exactly.
And that attachment will turn you down every time, or it'll make you go back, do a U-turn and double back because you're scared. But in this case, it's like, I'm doing this for me, but at the same time, I'm honoring them so that something better can happen for both.
Sure.
And if men and women could find that place first before they start jumping into marriage and all this kind of stuff, find that place before, because everybody's searching for that one they're attracted to. And we talked about the type and how it never works out and all this kind of shit, because there's too much invested in whether or not they come into your life or not, which screws you before you start. Mm-hmm. So now start to find somebody that has done the work, and if you feel comfortable and safe with, and they feel very grounded and powerful in their energy, and you're going to get 9,000% more results. And you still love that person, you still connect to that person, but it's not that attached love that this
needs to go somewhere, this needs to end in a marriage and a house.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So, oh man, powerful energies there.
This was so great and so insightful.
It's going to be the norm before too long. That's what I'm here to bring into this world. I hear more and more people talking about it, teaching people to interact with their sexuality, which scares the hell out of a whole bunch of church-going people and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you right now, it was taken from you. You lost your birthright. Your innocence and your purity of your sexuality is now tied to marriage and a whole bunch of other things that is really just forcing us to pick one person and doesn't give us the tools to be able to work through our marital or individual problems. That should be dealt with in our teen years. And then eventually we find a partner that's fully compatible with us by exploring and going into depth, rather than trying to get that by learning who their parents are and then get married and then find out how they are sexually or what wounds they have because they've hidden them the whole time.
Yes.
And nobody's really consciously speaking of who they are. It's coming.
Yeah. It's here.
It's part of the old illusion that was done that way, and we're not going to let it continue.
So. That's right.
So any last comments? And we'll close it down. 444 here.
444. No last comments for me, but this was all very insightful and very.
I didn't think we'd get on sexuality today.
It's what it is.
It's just so powerful to go there and then to feel those energies, because it's just present and it's needed. And I don't know how we can sing it from the rooftops higher, but I'm ready to do courses on this stuff. If people want to learn how to deal with their triggers, we'll start to build a process of those 3-month agreements and get people aligned so that they can start pursuing these as life lesson kind of learning, so that you can heal rapidly and then be ready for your twin flame, be ready for your soulmate
divine partner.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like this just seems like such a more seamless process than like the old way of just having the dice rolled. Like, okay, let's see what happens.
It
Like,
was left up to random about everything that wasn't talked about, and you were hoping that nobody would notice
and it
that
was
you
a
had something
disaster.
wrong.
You would get your
Exactly.
heart stomped.
But you stomped on your heart because you weren't truthful, and then you had to make
Exactly.
lies, and
Exactly.
everybody lost.
Exactly.
Where if we build a place of vulnerability and we're truth from the
Truth.
beginning, and I'm broken here,
Yes.
and I had a rape here, and I had all this kind of stuff, boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden that person sees you and they're going to be loving you even more. You're not broken. You're not hurt. The broken and hurt is because you're ashamed of it.
Exactly.
But it's happened to almost everybody in this world. And we got to
Mm-hmm.
just get real raw and honest with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need. So, but
So
it's
good.
changing. The stuff we talk about is very more 5D based and that kind of stuff. So not everybody's gonna hear it, but they're gonna feel the energy. They're gonna feel all these things, and very soon there's gonna be a place where all this stuff is gonna be needed. And we're gonna shine our light and make that possible, and create spaces that people can come. Oh, here's the other one that kicked me in the ass. So I can't go to this Sology Fest. That's the Sedona thing I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
The freaking universe. Well, I communicated with the guy, and the it's almost Gestapo level. We have commercials from the UN going on here, and how we're all in this together. Like, where the hell the UN needs to support Canada? I thought that was third world organizations, but they're all over the radio now. And the lockdowns are getting worse. It's literally to the point now, if you're not wearing a mask, the police have been given the power to arrest you immediately, which is just like out there. And then you got to stay in a hotel and quarantine for 14 days, coming back, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just physically impossible to fly down there and do all this stuff. So I told the guy that's running it, and he's going to try and work something out. So I went to go cancel my flights today. The airline had canceled the flights without even notifying me. So it was very clear that I'm not meant to go down there at this time. But I didn't actually have to cancel the flight. It says, oh, the airline is just rescheduled, and your flights don't exist anymore. Goodbye.
It's so crazy because we've never heard that ever happen in the history of airline.
And they didn't even send me an email to tell me that it had happened. That was this. I can cancel whenever I want, so I got my full money back. So, but can you imagine how I would have been scrambling to get flights now if I was still planning to continue? Like, ugh. But the universe told me very
You're
clearly
staying
I'm not
put.
going.
Yeah.
I really truly foresaw that things would be different by now, but I don't know whether the timeline shifted or what's going on, but it's not
Something's
safe.
brewing.
Yeah, I sure hope so. So cool.
Thank you.
Keep shining and surviving, everybody. I know we're not the only ones going through this.
I recommend everyone find a wizard.
A wizard, yeah. Go for a walk and find a 3-month contract person, and maybe you can get yourself through COVID. So cool. Well, we'll sign off here. Loving everybody, and it's been a delight to share this information.
Yes.
And look for us again on Thursday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, UTC -6 on my Facebook page, and it'll be up on Anya's page and the Living Your Light page shortly. So have a good day, everybody. Love you all. See you soon.